I am currently a bachelor.
Yeah.
My wife is with my kids.
Okay.
They're at my in-laws.
How nice.
She currently has pneumonia.
Oh, no.
So she is not feeling well. Yes, she's not feeling well at all. She'll be there in a couple of days, some meds. But she literally is texting me and telling me how terrible she feels. Meanwhile, I am at that moment in time drinking a Russian River beer. I have just made a perfectly seared, sous vide, prime ribeye steak.
Yeah, sweetie, it's tough here too.
Exactly. And I was like, what do I say to this? I don't understand.
Right.
Like, I am currently having a fantastic meal. I'm in my house by myself. No one's yelling at me.
In the hot tub.
Exactly. Sorry, sweetie. Hard to hear you over the bubbles.
Exactly.
Like, I was like, I don't know. Should I do something different? Nah.
Quiet, please.
I do ask constantly, is there anything I can do to help?
And she answers, you don't hear her over the chewing.
In 4,
The phone's greasy. You understand.
3,
it happens. It's from my phone.
2,
Company presents a Truly Terrible Podcast. Welcome to Nonsense, Season 3, Episode 30. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Steve Little.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, Power Pill, Eli Lilly's new drug, rivals injectables for weight loss and diabetes.
We need more things for fat people to eat. I've been saying it for years.
Not so autonomous yet. Tesla's Robotaxi rolls out in Austin.
Rolls out and rolls right over pedestrians. Does not care.
And how AI could expose your private phone number.
If there's anything that AI is going to expose about me that's private, I feel like phone number is probably the least bad thing it could expose.
The least of your worries.
Totally.
Also, our big story later this week, Houston, we have a watery grave at Point Nemo.
Oh, it's another happy show. That's great.
No, the Point Nemo thing is an incredible story. You're going to be amazed.
Can't wait.
How is your week going?
My week, as always, is lovely. I have really no complaints. I got to have lunch with two of my oldest friends.
Yeah.
They were both office mates of mine at my very first gig developing software. One lives up in the Great White North and was just visiting for a long weekend. So we got to visit the Getty, which is beautiful. Recommend anybody in Southern California, you should just go there once a month because it's really incredible.
It really is beautiful.
Really amazing. And catch up over some social engineering, sort of talk about all things tech. And of course, the other person at lunch was you. So it was really fun to see unplugged Jeff Parker.
That was really fun.
That was a blast.
So great seeing Alex. I want to thank you so much for inviting me to that. I haven't seen Alex in 15 years.
Yeah, it was fun. He is just slowly morphing into his father. He just looks more and more like his father.
That's
who we also
true.
both
That's
knew.
really
I know.
true.
I know. And every time I say it, he kind of gives me like a little bit of an eye roll. And I'm like, dude, look at the pictures. Come on. They don't lie.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, it was super fun. I had a great time. How about you? How's your week?
My week's been good. An interesting thing that happened this week, California's hands-free law got clarified from an appellate court.
Okay.
The hands-free law basically is that you can't hold a cell phone in your hand while you drive. You actually have to be legally parked to have a cell phone in your hand for any purpose. The question was, could you have a cell phone in your hand if you were looking at a map? And the court's answer on that was no. Absolutely out of your hand, no texting, no looking at maps, no nothing. You may not hold a cell phone in your hand while driving at all.
Giphy. Is Giphy okay? What if I'm just perusing Giphy?
Giphy is fine. No,
Giphy's fine.
You can do nothing, which has surprised me because I can pretty much, through Android Auto, I can pretty much put my phone onto the big nav screen. Also, you can have it mounted to your dash if you have one of those dash mounts. That's legal. But you just can't be holding it.
Can't hold your hand. Yeah, because you need your hands to operate the vehicle.
Yeah, I guess so. Makes sense. You could also look down at a cell phone, so that would be a big deal. The other thing that's happening right now is that we are bombing Iran and they are bombing us.
Oh, that's good to know.
Some very cool tech being used in this adventure.
That's one way to spin it. All right, what are you talking about specifically? What tech?
The GBU 57 is what we're talking about, which is a bunker buster bomb.
Yeah, it's a bomb like no other. I don't understand how they do what they do. These are basically the weight of a school bus.
They dig a hole. When they hit the ground, they go right into the ground.
No, they don't have like little shovels and little fraggles that they deploy to dig a hole in front of them.
But it's like an arrow shooting. They literally penetrate the ground.
It penetrates the ground. Yeah, it just I don't exactly know what happens to all of this stuff. I am assuming it gets ejected out of the hole and forced out the sides of the hole with great force.
The dirt and the concrete, I'm sure.
Dirt, concrete. This thing, I believe it can penetrate something like 60 feet through 5,000 PSI concrete, which is bananas.
That's the bulk of the world's concrete, too.
It is nuts. These things are like almost 30,000 pounds. They're 20 feet long. They're about 3 feet round. They are not small. So this is the GBU-57. They are pretty nuts. So yeah, I was doing some reading over this over the weekend and we decided to drop a couple of these.
Operation Midnight Hammer is what it's called, which is the construction company's name that also my neighbors use.
Next door?
Yeah.
I thought that was your screen name when you were in college.
It was my porno name.
It was your porno name, right? Yeah. I thought I recognized you, Mr. Holmes.
We were targeting nuclear sites.
The other thing about this that caught my eye is that, okay, so there was some B-2s. We did a little distraction. We sent some B-2s in one direction to the west, and the other ones went to the east, and those are the ones that got there earlier and dropped the bombs. All right, cool.
I thought the whole point of B-2s was you couldn't trace where they were going. They were stealth. So why do you have B2s that are a distraction?
I think the point was they didn't even fully disclose the B2s. They disclosed the refueling tankers, and those typically pop up on ADSB. I see them all the time refueling like over California or out over the Pacific. But that wasn't really the part that I thought was interesting. We also launched some Tomahawks out of some submarines.
Yeah.
And that immediately got me thinking about how those orders go out. And I gotta hope, I don't know, I'm certainly no military expert, but I gotta hope that in these times of activation, they use code names for everything. I hope all the code names for the subs are all named after like just famous Subway submarine sandwiches. That's what I hope.
Sure.
I hope they're just like there's the Italian BMT off the coast.
Sure.
They've got the turkey bacon avocado. If they say the sub is toasted, that means that there's nukes on board.
Okay.
I just hope there's something like that. Otherwise, I feel like it's a real opportunity lost. Maybe I can get instated in the Navy and I can help them punch up some of their names.
Should we get to our headlines?
Let's do it.
Power pill. Eli Lilly's new drug rivals injectables for weight loss. Eli Lilly's experimental pill, orforglipron, shows compatible efficacy to injectable GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic for weight loss and blood sugar reduction in diabetes patients, according to new phase 3 trial data. The daily oral option could offer a convenient alternative to injections, with Eli Lilly planning regulatory submissions for weight management by year end and for type 2 diabetes in 2026.
I've been tracking this for a while. It looks like they're getting very similar results in efficacy compared to the GLP-1 drugs
that you inject,
which they also make, right?
Yeah.
Eli Lilly also they make Mounjaro and for diabetes and Zepbound for weight management. I think it has an indication for sleep apnea as well. The point is, Eli Lilly is a maker of GLP-1 injectables, so they're going to eat everybody else's lunch, including their own, pardon the pun, with this oral medication. It is super interesting because everything is better from what I can tell. If you have the same efficacy and the same safety profile for the drug itself, everything else is better with an oral med.
Because you don't have to keep it in a refrigerator. It doesn't have to stay refrigerated in transport and all of that.
Yep. So you don't have to keep it refrigerated to keep it efficacious. You don't have to deal with a syringe, which a lot of people have a phobia of. It's just a lot harder to manage this than a bunch of pills.
Yeah.
And we have joked for so many years, so many decades about like all we want as fat Americans is a little pill to just make you not fat. And you're like, oh shit.
Here it is.
Here it is.
We're here.
But I think this is going to come with a big challenge because with the GLP-1 injectables, there's different brands, of course, but for the most part, there's just one drug, right? There's a different dosing, but there's just one drug.
Yeah.
My presumption is with this orforglipron from Lilly being an oral medication, they're going to have to release it in a bunch of different flavors. So like you're going to be able to order like, do you want the bacon flavor? Do you want mint chocolate chip? Like, what are you interested in? And then what I hope they do is I really hope they take a page out of the OG Willy Wonka and they make it like an everlasting gobstopper. So I can just be.
So you get bacon all day.
The whole point of the GLP-1 is to slow down you eating, right? Like you eat less.
Right.
So why not just get the flavor and then you just have like Soylent. That stuff tasted terrible, like pancake batter. I just want to have like a little bacon flavor. Like give me a bacon flavor and weight loss. And Eli Lilly is going to take over NVIDIA as the most profitable company on the planet. Like there's no doubt in my mind. Like sign me up.
It's AI or skinny people. And it turns out people want to be skinny more than they want to know stuff.
100%. I would totally people have those little like the 7-day, not me, of course, because I'm not old, but those little 7-day weekly pill pop things. Like we've got like a Monday.
I know nothing about what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know nothing about that either. But there are people that are older that take these, that have these little things that have every day of the week on them. I will 3D print one of those. It looks like a hometown buffet, and I'll just put it right on my sink counter, and we'll have the bacon, we'll have the crab leg flavor, orforglipron, and then in the morning I'll just be like, oh, what do I feel like today? I'll have a little bacon. And I'll take my little bacon one, right? Like it'd be brilliant. I'm telling you, I'd be all over this. I would look like Kate Moss in 6 months. Sure. I'd be so thin. I would like literally. People would be like, you really should eat something. I think is what people would be telling me.
I literally was about to ask you, would you prefer a pill every day or would you prefer once a week injection? But now that
if the pill's flavor,
right? If you're flavoring the pill, there's no question which way you're going to go.
I might take 2 or 3 a day just to speed it along. I don't know. It sounds great.
You might add in some placebos that are just flavored.
Pez dispenser of the orforglipron, I'd totally be. And I hope Eli Lilly is listening because I feel like there's a lot of business development happening here they should get in front of.
That makes a lot of sense.
But in all seriousness, this is super cool. I mean, you have a lot of diseases, a lot of things that come out of being overweight. And we have a real problem, certainly in this country and around the world, of folks just being obese. And I think this will help and this will be great. And also just nothing to do with an injectable.
This simplifies things.
So much easier to make safely. Like that's important to note. Yeah. You can make the injectables. It is harder certainly than an oral med, but it's also way harder to make sure that it's safe because you are injecting it into your system. At least here, you have the benefit of your gut to destroy most of the bad things that you put into it, especially like, pathogens and whatnot.
Sure.
This is super exciting. It sounds like they're going to have it to market for weight loss by the end of the year, and their data looks really encouraging.
Very promising. Not so autonomous yet. 10 Tesla Robotaxis roll out in Austin. Tesla officially launched its Robotaxi service in Austin, Texas on Sunday, June 22nd, 2025 for early access users. The initial rollout is modest, utilizing a small fleet of Model Ys within a geofenced area with safety monitors present. That's a human being.
Yeah.
This marks a significant step, though it's invite only and not yet unsupervised as Elon Musk once envisioned. Public availability and broader expansion are expected later this year, with regulatory hurdles and competition from rivals like Waymo remaining. Meanwhile, Waymo has crossed the 10 million paid rides mark.
Oh, so they're basically right at about the same spot in their trajectory. They rolled out 10 cars into a 1 block by 1 block square area
with the driver.
With only one street turns with the driver. Yeah. The 4 roads allowed to operate on have no street lights, no stop signs, and are only one way.
Sure.
It just goes in a circle.
And the money that it costs to ride it in this thing is $4.20 because he just can't get past the cannabis jokes.
The weed jokes. I don't care that it's not yet unsupervised. This is the right way to start. I do find it interesting that the supervisor, the safety person, is in the passenger seat and not in the driver's seat of the Tesla.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it's just so that you basically have a buddy with you when you die in a fiery crash. I don't know why else.
Someone you can hold hands with as you
totally
crash into the telephone pole and burst into flames.
As the end comes near. Yeah, as the end comes near. I don't fully understand that, but of course it's unsupervised, or of course it's supervised now and it's working towards unsupervised. Elon has said that they expect, I think, hundreds of thousands, if not 1 million by the end of the year. And I'm like,
yeah, right.
I don't know about that, bud. I guess maybe you have enough cars that people aren't buying that maybe you could put them to service in this capacity.
Sure.
But
he does have a lot of cars people aren't buying.
Exactly. So it's like you're sitting in a bunch of inventory. It's not like you got to go make these. And I'm sure a bunch of Tesla owners would happily sell them back to you at quite a discount for you to buy them back.
Yeah, right.
But I just don't think they're going to have the tech ready for it to be even close to safe enough. I mean, in the first day of launch on this, we were able to find a video of a full ride, like a 15 or 20 minute ride. Yeah. And you see the car, I think it's trying to make a left turn and then it decides not to and goes into oncoming traffic.
And stays there.
And then sort of cuts back and then kind of comes back. And I was like, man, I think a 15-year-old in driver's ed
would know better.
Would probably do a better job than this.
Of course.
I know this is part of the learning process for the tech, but man, I don't know if you should be doing this right now with public beta testers, as well as, by the way, the person in the other car that you're going to run into head on, they didn't agree to test this fucking thing.
Right.
They were just trying to go to CVS, right? They're just going to pick up some fat pills and you're going to run right into them. That's not good.
This should be tested on private roads. I mean, that's initially what happened with Waymo cars.
Has been. They did
test it on private roads.
Of course.
Worked out a lot of the bugs, and we're actually tested it for years and years with no paid passengers or any of that stuff.
I'm sure Tesla did. I'm sure they tested it on private areas as well. It just seems like they have let's just say a much lower threshold for what they're willing to put into public. And I think that's the bigger problem.
Part of the problem is their tech. LiDAR is not to be found anywhere on that car.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying that optical cameras are his big secret for making it so much cheaper. He can scale so much faster because he's just buying optical cameras. Okay, in exchange for that, your optical cameras are not seeing that road that looks like it goes off into the distance is actually a wall.
You're paying for it in blood, right? I mean, you're certainly going to pay for that in blood. Camera tech will get better, I'm sure. I don't understand, though, why you still wouldn't use the best tech available. Yes, LiDAR, very expensive. It has come down
LiDAR
a ton.
Will get cheaper,
It will continue to get cheaper. So I don't know why you wouldn't want that. Yes, it might add, let's just make up numbers here and say a $40,000 Robotaxi, it might add 10, 15, or 20 grand at scale. Mm-hmm. But in what you're saving in driver cost, that seems well worth it, right? It's not like you're just spending more money. You're spending more money to save a bunch more money than what you're spending. But apparently it's lost on folks. Meanwhile, what we aren't celebrating is that Waymo has given more than 10 million paid rides, and that's pretty impressive.
That's amazing. They're also doubling the size of their fleet over the next few months.
Cool.
The program has been very successful for them.
What's impressive to me about the Waymos isn't that they are autonomous and that they don't fail as often as you would sort of think they would at this point. What's amazing to me is that it's normal now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's gone from being novel to just being like, you just get in a Waymo. And I read there was some post online the other day in San Francisco, somebody overheard a parent with their kid, and their kid said, said, "What's an Uber?" And the parent said, "It's like a Waymo, but with a driver." And I was like, that's the world that we're in now, right? Like the Uber is basically awesome. the sort of horseless carriage / horsed carriage. And we're in like the car phase. I was like, oh man, that's super interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I use Waymos all the time.
Sure.
Now it's just nothing. It used to, the first 3 rides, I was like just gobsmacked, had to watch the whole time and pay attention. This is so cool. It does it all itself and it's doing everything really well.
Yeah.
I get in now. I don't even look up. I just start doing work. It's like I've got a driver who I completely trust.
Yeah.
Let me know when we get there and I'll get out and we'll move on with our lives.
Sure.
It's so normal now.
So where I do take objection, I mentioned this earlier, is just like, I don't think you're going to see this in the time frame that Elon likes to tout, but he's an excellent hype man.
Except for the fact that the boy who cried wolf, you just eventually stopped believing him. He was saying that this was going to come out 6 years ago. He was going to have these robotaxis.
I mean, I think even before that, we were talking about robotaxis were being the certain future from Elon. Where I disagree with you is I think the people who hear the boy who cried wolf and then stop listening, they have already stopped listening.
Yeah.
The rest, they are in make-believe land. They're not hearing that, right? They're just like, oh, there's a great, COVID, something. Oh, there's some other reason that it's not there. Or I don't know how they justify it, but they're not like, you're not getting to them. And I don't think another swing and a miss on this is going to get to them.
And it's not like suddenly because he has taken all this extra time just to make sure it's safe, as he said, that it actually got safer. It didn't. The problem is that the core technology just won't do what you want it to do. Maybe someday it doesn't do it yet.
Yeah, at least not their implementation. If I had to bet, I think they'll get there. I do think they'll probably get there, maybe with, 2x the incident rate of Waymo, but I think they'll get there. I just think it's not quite as fast as we think.
Yeah, we'll see.
At the end of the day, you're selling software.
Beyond misdials, how AI could expose your private phone number. For years, people with phone numbers just a digit off from local businesses have dealt with constant misdials. Now AI chatbots are poised to make this problem even worse, potentially exposing private numbers when users seek contact information. Take the case of a UK record shop worker who asked "What's up AI" for TransPennine Express helpline after his train was a no-show. Instead of providing the correct number, the AI confidently dished out a private WhatsApp number of property executive James Gray, which Gray had posted to his website. This incident highlights a growing concern: AI's potential to inadvertently compromise privacy and amplify the headache of wrong numbers.
It doesn't know that all the digits are important, right? Like it just gets close. It gets you really close, but they just don't understand. The AI doesn't understand that it's not horseshoes or hand grenades. You can't just be close. You actually have to be spot on. And it's pretty fascinating for me to see this now. This was a pure accident, right? This was just an AI that thought a thing and gave a thing out. But man, wait until you see the misinformation really kick in this. Like for our longtime listeners probably remember last year when I, not through what I think was AI per se, but through someone who's taking advantage of AI.
Someone is intentionally seeding an incorrect phone number for a business.
They injected a phone number and how that can get real ugly real fast. And then, I don't use AI as much as a lot of people do in my everyday. I still am a dinosaur that will actually click through some links, especially if there's something very specific piece of knowledge that I want. Yeah. I, as a bachelor for a week, what do I do with my time? I like to cure 20 pounds of beef into pastrami. Because why not? And I needed to find a ratio for a couple things as part of what I was making. And I sort of knew what it was, but I just wanted to make sure that I had it validated. And as part of that process, for a specific person, I followed this guy named Meathead. The AI suggested a summary that was completely wrong. Like I clicked on the link and I'm like, I don't understand how the math, but it was literally off by 4x. And had I followed it, it would have completely ruined the food.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, oh yeah, turns out all the numbers are important and hard.
My kid is mystified when he sees me look up something on Google.
Sure.
He's like, why don't you just look it up on Gemini and just get the answer right away?
Why would you do that?
His generation, they don't hesitate to use the AI for just looking things up.
I'm fine with that for looking things up. I have to validate it through the source though. I have to validate the source. If I can't see the reasoning, I can't accept it as true.
Yeah, sure.
I just have to just assume that it's a maybe truth. And I'll be curious to see how that gets reconciled.
And more, I'm finding that I do not need to validate it through the source, that they get it right.
I appreciate that. And I believe that hit rate will only go up, right? Like we're going to continue to see a line up and to the right. I totally get that.
In the last couple of years, it's made a big jump in the right direction.
But if I'm doing something that is, what I'll call not irreversible, but something that is certainly important, I don't mind spending the extra 4 seconds to validate the specific claim. I think where it gets hard is when you're looking for information that isn't easy to validate. You want to see something per capita and nobody's sliced the data that way. Yeah. And now you're like, well, do I believe this thing or do I go do the 30 minutes worth of work based on its sources to figure it out? And that to me is the harder part. But the thing about AI though is like, for as much as I may question it, it's not going away. right? Like we know this for sure.
Oh no, it's more omnipresent. Yeah,
and
sure.
more, yeah, exactly. And I think now, and especially as I believe will continue to push closer to the edge. I mean, I think even just the last week, Google brought out a Chromebook. So the Chromebooks are typically the cheapest laptops you can get, right? A couple $100 laptops.
Sure.
They're absolutely excellent.
Cloud-based,
basically is running, I think it's running Chrome OS locally.
Yeah, which is Gen 2 Linux that basically is just running a browser.
Yeah, right. It's great. It's really a wonderful piece of kit. They now have NPUs in these things that are doing something like 50 tops.
Neural processing units.
Yeah. So these things do 50 trillion operations per second. And this is in the budget bargain Chromebook.
The 800, it's not the cheapest of the Chromebooks, but yes.
It's not the cheapest Chromebook, but it's in it's in the cheapest section of laptops.
Yes.
I mean, they've literally said it's the strongest ARM chip they've ever put in a Chromebook. And that just shows you how much you're going to have that AI on the edge running everything. I mean, things that we took just a couple of years ago.
To be clear, this is AI happening actually on the Chromebook,
on the machine
not happening
itself.
in the cloud, happening on the Chromebook.
I mean, things like OCR that for the past 20 years have been generally kind of expensive and kind of not great and somewhat slow. You know, you'd put your PDF into OCR mode and you'd wait a couple minutes and it would scan the pages and give you OCR back. Now you just have it.
Yeah.
Like I find myself screenshotting stuff all the time on my machine.
Turn this into text.
Just to copy the text. And it's just, I don't have to do anything. I don't even click a button. I literally just take my cursor and drag it over the text and boom, there it is.
Fantastic.
It's really incredible. And you start thinking about, especially when you've got these NPUs that are relatively efficient, you just sort of have the AI always on your camera. You know, you're just scanning around the room and it's just like, oh, that's a Yeti water bottle. Oh, that's a Logitech camera. Like all of the things it just knows. And that's pretty impressive, especially if you're not consuming a ton of power or bandwidth.
It's like driving around town with your grandmother in the car and she just reads all the signs off everywhere you go.
That's good. Yeah. Although I never listened to her because I'm just staring at her cans the whole time.
Sanctions. What sanctions? Huawei's AI chip defies expectations. Huawei's new Cloud Matrix 384 AI cluster is reportedly challenging NVIDIA's dominance by brute forcing with 384 of their Ascend 910C chips and leveraging optical interconnects. It's claimed to outperform NVIDIA's GB200 NVL72 in certain metrics like raw computational power, 300 petaflops versus 180 petaflops. For large language models, despite being less power efficient, this signifies China's significant AI chip progress amidst sanctions.
Take this with a grain of salt for a couple things. One, they're using a lot more power to get there, which I believe they will continue to iron out.
China has plenty of cheap power.
They do have plenty of cheap power. That's a good point. But we're talking about like on the scale of like 2.5x the amount of power to get there. They're doing it in a lot more chips, so it's a bigger cluster. What I think is interesting about that is they've focused on the interconnects. Everything's optical. There's no copper on this. It's an all-to-all mux, basically.
So it's fast.
And it's very, very interesting. I do think they really missed an opportunity here, though. And this is where, you know, I give China a lot of hard time for generally their what I find to be lacking UX and naming things they're not great at.
Yes.
They should have just, instead of 384, they should have called it the 386 and just poked a stick right in Intel's eye.
Instead of 384, 386 would have been great.
Just to be like, oh, we're bringing it back. We're bringing back the thing. But this is an amazing amount of computational power. And to me, my takeaway from this is even with the sanctions, and we've said this on the show before, even with the sanctions, at best we've slowed them down, right? Like they're going to get there. Sure. And to your point, if one of the things they have in abundance right now is power, right? I mean, it's between hydro and renewables and coal. They still fire a ton of coal.
And solar, they're way ahead.
Aren't they a leader in nuclear as well? I think they're a leader in nuclear power as well. I think they've brought, China in the last 15 years has brought on an entire U.S. power grid worth of power in their country.
Okay, enough with the headlines. In fact, enough with this episode. We have to get out of here. Special thanks to our floor director, Scotty Benson.
Thanks, Scotty.
We'll be back later this week with our big story, Finding Point Nemo, where good spacecraft go to die. Until then, thank you for listening to all this nonsense. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Stu Little.
Polka polka.
Waka waka.
It's Russian. Bye-bye.
The ScanMaker 2HR, the 24-bit high-resolution color flatbed scanner for creating heavenly images at down-to-earth prices. Microtek, the world's largest desktop scanner manufacturer with over a decade of scanning innovations, has risen to the occasion.
Thank goodness.
The ScanMaker 2HR gives you smoother color gradations and increased detail in shadow and highlight areas for all the photo or illustrations you scan. It is also great for capturing intricate line art and logos or enlarging small originals.
Wonderful.
It's not like you have the option of carrying around a super high-resolution camera in your pocket everywhere you go.
No.
So for image quality and dependability, the ScanMaker 2R is your only real option. Starting at $1,800, it outperforms some competing scanners with sky-high price tags. In fact, the 2HR is the lowest priced high-resolution flatbed scanner on the market. The ScanMaker 2HR from Microtek. You can't play games on it or text, but it sure does make pretty scans. Order yours today.
$1,800 is price adjusted, correct?
That is price adjusted. These were about $850 at the time.
Anything else that I can get as a hint? Microtek sort of gives me the decade.
Yeah.
Would have been in the late 80s up to the mid 90s, I think.
I think you're glossing over one hint. There's one good hint in here for the year.
Is that right?
This is the ScanMaker 2HR 24-bit high-resolution color flatbed scanner.
What kind of hint is that?
It is the 24-bit high-resolution color flatbed scanner for creating heavenly image. Let me say it again. It is the 3-byte high-resolution color flatbed scanner for creating heavenly images at down-to-earth prices.
Whatever you're trying to hint to me, I'm not getting. But I'm the closest I can probably get maybe is it's the mid 90s, maybe 95.
Well, that is pretty close. 95 is when this is. I feel like by giving you the adjusted price,
I'm close to you by saying 95.
You're off by about 0 years is how I would answer this.
Okay.
I feel like giving you the adjusted price helps give you a big hint too. You can kind of do that math of 15-year chunks. Anyway, yeah, this is 1995. What I find so nuts about this is like Microtek, these guys are probably the top of their game. We're making scanners. Man, we're going to make scanners forever. People always have paper, needs to scan.
Sure.
And the digital cameras came out and they're like, no. Who wants to pick up their camera and take a photo of a document? We're good. And then cell phones came out and they were immediately like on dice.com looking for new jobs.
Well, no. First, they were trying to merge with Kodak.
This ship's not sinking fast enough. Like, call Circuit City. Circuit City's going to buy us. We're going straight down.
Call Circuit City.